It's Matty Fresh on the track up at State. And I'm bringing to you live my boys Alec and Nate. Tequila Ty, JNelly and Zillin in the building. So kick it back, pour the drink. We chillin' because I'm boozing and betting and ballin' like I'm 2-6 in the blue kicks. Watch me move quick. Yeah, this the blueprint. So who's getting involved? Welcome into the show. This is Booze, Bets, and Ball, baby.
And welcome back to Booze, Bets, and Ball as we get ready for Penn State's last, I guess, big home game against Ohio State Saturday. I have the two of them here with me. Nate's going to leave eventually and go to a nicer podcast, apparently. So that's that. And
I am thankful that they invited me on.
Yes,
it is not
yeah,
a nicer
it's a joke.
Or worse podcast. Yes, thank you.
It's just a joke. Yeah. Yeah, you have to deal with my Penn State flu voice too. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I guess a lot to get in on this game because Penn State's season, I guess, is more or less over from the playoff standpoint with this game. Because if they lose to Ohio State, to in-conference losses, you're not making the title game, you're not making the playoffs. So this is a tough challenge, but maybe not one as tough as Michigan in a sense, just because of the way Penn State matches up with Michigan and plays at the Big House. This is at Beaver Stadium, and Penn State against Ohio State. You know, under James Franklin, these games have historically been a lot closer than maybe most of them should have been.
Yeah, and the last two times when they played Ohio State at Beaver Stadium after, well, in the same season, I guess, that they played Michigan at the Big House, they won once and played them close the other time. The third time was 2020, which doesn't count for anything. So, yeah, you would think that they match up pretty well. The last time Ohio State destroyed Penn State was 2013, the 63-14 game. Mm-hmm. And then nothing else has been more than, I think, 13 points difference. So,
yeah, well, 2015, I think, what was that, like 25? Was that 35-10 or something like that? But that wasn't too bad considering that team was kind of bad. But that was like the only one where I don't think that one and 2020 are the only two where they haven't covered the spread under Franklin.
Okay, 38-10 that one. But then, like that game though, Penn State, that was Saquon's freshman year, right? They kind of started out hot, and then Saquon had a touchdown run called back, and that kind of right, and that kind of destroyed it. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you that I think they match up better against Ohio State than they do against Michigan. But at the same time, this is a huge uphill battle, and they're 15-point underdogs at home for a reason.
Yeah, you know, Ohio State averages just under 50 points a game, which this deep into a season, 7 games in, when you've played 4 in-conference teams is crazy. To still be averaging that many points, and they give up less than 15 too. But the one thing I would say is I think their offense is legit because when you play Notre Dame, Iowa, Wisconsin, those are like legit offenses. I guess I'm not totally sold on the defense yet because the same teams I just mentioned are like absolutely horrible on offense. So I guess there's a little more unknown there with their defense than their offense at this point.
I think that's generally fair. At the same time, though, they compared to where they were last year, so far through this part of the season, they are markedly better than they were last year. So I wrote about this today. It came out today. It's I think a pretty damn good article. The defense is only on the field for 57 plays a game, which an average defense is on the field for 70 plays a game. Mm-hmm. And they are giving up 1.2 points per possession, which is like it's like top 10, top 5 nationally. It's very, very good. They're giving up 20 yards per possession, which is effectively the best or one of the top 10 since 2009. So far, like, yeah, maybe they haven't been as tested as the offense has, but they are absolutely out of this world fantastic for the teams whom they've played.
Yeah, the coordinator changed to Jim Knowles has seemingly changed a lot with them, and it's kind of why I think they look like the favorite maybe to win it all this year if they get past Penn State here, which they may do. So
yeah, and that's exactly what I said. I mean, I think, last year their defense was a little bit suspect. They were still above average or slightly better than average, but now they seem to have the best offense in the country, maybe behind Tennessee, but they can match it with a defense that's top 5, which Tennessee certainly does not have.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Just side note, like a playoff game between those two would be out of this world.
Yeah.
But so I want to talk about the Ohio State receivers, because even if Jackson Smith-Njigba does not play, I don't think it makes a difference. And Tyler, I'm going to start with you. Does it really make a difference if like the projected top 5 pick doesn't even play for this team? Because the other guys, Marvin Harrison Jr. especially, have just been out of this world. And, they're 4 deep with Smith and Njigba, and, even they still put out a 3-star lineup, or not a 3-person lineup of potential of 5 stars and guys that can go in the first round. So does it really matter?
I mean, you lose a playmaker like that, it's going to matter in some facet. I mean, it definitely helps Ohio State, the fact that he hasn't been out there most of the season, so they're kind of used to it and not being out there at this point. But you lose a player of that caliber, it doesn't matter where it is. He had that connection with Stroud, and it's going to help in some facet. How big? Definitely, it's not going to be that much. But definitely is going to miss that effect of having him out in the field. They still got studs all around, though. They're still going to come down to whether our quarterbacks can stick with the guys of Harrison and Fleming and Emeka and all those guys. So,
yeah, they're like impossible game plan for at this point. I feel like, the thing is, maybe they haven't run the ball as well as maybe we expected with Trayvon Henderson, but they really haven't had to, and he's been a little banged up. So, they're kind of like Penn State in the aspect they have kind of the speed guy. Penn State has Singleton, they have Henderson, and then Penn State has Allen, more the power guy, whereas they have Williams. It's kind of the same deal there, and it works well for them. So offensively, they are really hard to game plan for, because I feel like, even with Penn State's cornerbacks, they could go down and just run the ball if they wanted to, 30, 40 times.
Yeah. Henderson's been a little dinged up, I think, right? But Mayan Williams has been really good. He's averaging 7 yards a carry. The one thing I think maybe there's an advantage. CJ Stroud doesn't run that much. He has 13 carries for -9 yards. So maybe, if somehow Penn State can manage to stop the running game or cover the receivers well enough to break up some passes, maybe make them a little bit one-dimensional. But I'm like grasping at straws. So who knows?
Yeah, I would say, if Porter Jr. can shut down at least one side of the field, not even shut down, but at least make it competitive, then, Manny Diaz can put the safeties on the other side, and it helps slow it down. And, like you just said about the running quarterbacks, Penn State really struggles with that. It seems like when guys break it, like even, TJ Finley, a guy that, I don't know if he ran the ball before that game against Auburn, and he was running all over the place just because they broke contain so many times and lost their gap discipline. And, that's something I think they need to work on. And, Chop Robinson is like a maybe right now. So, that doesn't help either. So I think they need him if they have any chance in this game, though.
100%. Yeah, they have to get a pass rush, right? There's some discussion this week going into the game that CJ Stroud struggles under pressure. Like that might be an overstatement, but
yeah.
You can't just let him sit back there and have 10 seconds to throw the ball. And then Cade Stover, looks really good. Who's going to match up with him? They just have weapons all over the field. That Penn State's got athletes in the secondary, in the linebacking core, but can they cover these people for 70 plays a game and hold Ohio State to 30 points or less? I think is where you have to be, right?
Yeah,
Penn State's not scoring 35, I don't think.
No, I would say like 31 would be like the cutoff if Penn State wants to have a chance in this game, and that's even with maybe like a block punt or a block field goal again or something like that, just to help them out. But yeah, on that side of the ball, it seems like an uphill battle. I think it really comes down to if Penn State can move the ball, and we saw them definitely look the most balanced, maybe the most consistent all year last week. And I just think that when they have the ability to run the ball on first and second down, and then if it's second and short and they could let Clifford take those shots that we saw last week, I think that's when they're at least effective and have a chance in this game. So I think it really comes down to them maybe not throwing the ball on first down that much. and running the ball and just seeing what kind of early success you have, because I think you have to run the ball either way, because the 3 and out like they did against Michigan, it was bad against Michigan. It's going to be even worse against an offense like Ohio State that uses more tempo. And when you throw the ball, obviously the drives go a little faster. So that, that's kind of the thing where they have to be able to run the ball.
Yeah. And this is kind of crazy, but Penn State has a higher tempo than Ohio State does. So Penn State averages 2.3 plays per minute. So for every minute of time of possession, they have 2.3 plays from scrimmage. Ohio State is 2.1. So you can't shoot yourself in the foot that way either by, not eating up a lot of clock and having, one gain for 3 yards and then 2 incompletions and giving the ball right back to them. It's, man, I don't know. There's a lot of things that are working against Penn State and working in favor of Ohio State going into this. And I don't know. They have to find ways to generate turnovers and not make any mistakes somehow. And Ohio State has a similar kind of disruptive play rate as Penn State does, about 25% on defense. Both of them are getting. So, yeah, I don't know. The places where Penn State does best, Ohio State is equal, and the places where Penn State is a little bit worse, Ohio State is absolutely dominant.
Yeah, that's not the best, I guess, there. But, Tyler, does, Sean Clifford, I don't know if he has to be 30 out of 38 for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game, but he just cannot turn over the ball, right? I think last year, that strip sack, I'm not going to put totally on him because that wasn't all his fault. And then by the time he threw the interception, the fourth quarter of the game was pretty much over. But at this point, it just has to be he cannot give them the ball. Even if he doesn't have an amazing game himself, it just cannot be a bad game.
Yeah, a little bit. He has to make some plays.
Right.
Against Ohio State, when as good as Penn State is, Ohio State's just that much better talent-wise and probably coaching-wise, that he's got to have a little bit of those superhero plays every now and then, but he can't try to do it all himself. And you hit it on the head, they got to run the ball, and that sets up everything. If you saw last week when we started running the ball, the play action got involved, deep shots got involved, and it just opens up the whole field. When you can get one person 3 yards back more than they used to be, then it just opens up the field in drastic ways. So Clifford's got to go out and kind of be like a point guard, but then also have LeBron James moments where you can just take over the game. So he's got to get those balls out to the playmakers. Let our guys make plays in space. Let Singleton run around. Parker Washington in space. Go deep with Tinsley. Just they got to find ways to get more people involved to spread the ball around the field as much as possible without turning the ball over at all.
And I think using, as they did last week a little bit, using the screen game as kind of the catalyst for the run game, because they weren't doing much until that screen to Singleton that got 20 some odd yards, right? And that was the kind of first thing to really open stuff up. So I think that's a pretty good suggestion, or pretty good tack to take.
You just got to attack them in different ways.
Yep.
You can't be focused on one thing and setting up the run over and over and over again. They're going to catch on to that. So if the run's not working, get that out on those quick screens, get them to run sideline to sideline, and that half step means so much in running the football.
And that's what they did not do against Michigan at all, right? Michigan, it was kind of the same thing over and over, except for the one read option that Clifford kept, and then the one pass down the sideline to Harrison Wallace. And those were the 2 plays for the whole game.
Exactly. You got to find ways to get everyone to think just half a second longer, because that half second gets the guard from double teaming up to the second level and holding that hold just half a second longer then, and the running back goes from a 3-yard gain to a 20-yard gain. And plays like that are what win this game.
Yep.
I will say the one concern might be that this team has maybe 3 offensive linemen that are banged up. Landon Tangwell did not play and did not practice tonight on Wednesday in the media availability. Caden Wallace left the game, and Bryce Effner moved over to right tackle. He was playing right guard because Sal Wormley was also banged up in the game, but then he came back, and as we mentioned, Vega got some reps too. So, I'm curious what that group looks like, because I think maybe you get away with that against Minnesota, who isn't a bad defense, but up front those guys are just physically not Ohio State. So if this offensive line is dealing with 2 or 3 guys out like that, that's serious trouble in this game.
Yeah, Caden Wallace practiced today, I believe. So they're only officially down Tangwall, which is a huge hit. Minnesota in the first 4 or 5 games, they were doing what Ohio State's defense did now. So I don't know. Maybe like you said before, these things are a little bit blown out of proportion, but you absolutely need to have as many starters as you can in, and being down your 1 5-star guard, right, is not the position you want to start from.
No, I mean, I think the one good thing is, though, we touched on this in the Minnesota recap, is that they put a lot more on film this week. The screens, the whiteout tight ends, like we talked about. Are they going to stay or stick around for the stripe out too? I don't know. They better, but they have 2 running backs, because it does look like Kevon Lee's going to play. They have 2 running backs they trust. They have, I would say now 4 receivers, because I think Harrison Wallace has put himself in that discussion, and they have 3 tight ends they trust. That's enough of a selection to make things hard on a defense, and it's up to Yurcich to really make this creative and mismatch his packages where Ohio State can't know what's always coming, and from play to play, drive to drive, it needs to be different, because if not, Ohio State's just too talented for you to maybe go straight up with them. You have to give yourself an advantage through tricks and coaching and that kind of stuff.
And that's what they said. That's what Franklin said tonight. I forget the exact quote, but at the media scrum after practice, it's Wednesday, something to the effect of, we're going to show them a bunch of stuff they've never seen before, right? Which that's nice, because that means we haven't seen it either, because we've been pretty vanilla for the first 7 games on both. Well, not so much on defense, but on offense.
Right.
So it's not going to be magic, though, right? That's the only thing. Is you can have some new wrinkles. You're not going to go from whatever offense they were running before to triple option or to run and gun or something like that, right? It's not going to be totally different. So you just got to get enough, like Tyler said, to make people think just a hair longer, to give Nick Singleton a hole, or to give Katron Allen a hole, or to let Mitchell Tinsley get a little more open, or one of the tight ends, something like that. Yeah.
And you really got to do that at the beginning, because once one of those things happen, and it's the rest of the
exactly
in the back of their head, it's like, oh, you got to wait just half a second to hold it there, and then that's when you go counter with some other way. So it's a game of strategy. It's a game of numbers. You got to hit that one time and just continue from there. Evolve every time after that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, you can't panic and get out of the game plan. And, that's kind of my concern. If they get down quick, like 14-0 Ohio State, 8 minutes into the game, are they going to kind of do what they did against Michigan, and it looks like they have no plan? It's just, we have to pick up yards any way we can. So first down, we're going to throw the ball. Second down, we're going to throw the ball. Third down, if we're not close, we're going to throw the ball. If we're close, we're going to try to run the ball, and it might not work. They have to be able to stick with what they came in trying to do up until, maybe, if you get down like 28 points, okay, I get it. But they can't panic if it's 10-0 or 14-0 or 13-0, things in that range. It's because I think they did that against Michigan. And I think that's the big thing is, you have to understand it's a long game, kind of like the 2016 game where they were down. The weird stuff could happen late. You never know. So I think the big thing for them is, don't get out of the plan you came in with early just because you got down quick to a team that puts up points fast.
How much do you remember in 2016 at halftime what they were down? Was it 14-0 amount?
It was 12-7. They had a touch.
Okay, sorry.
We had 2 crazy 40-yard passes and then the fade to Godwin right before.
Well, it was 12-0 though. So,
okay,
yeah.
So before half, all right. Because I remember sitting there and it was raining, and I'm like, I can't believe I flew here today from Houston and we're gonna lose. And they didn't get, but they had, that team had a lot more explosive potential, right? With Godwin, with Gesicki, with Deshaun, with Saquon, obviously even Trace. I don't know if this team gets down 12-0 or 14-0, who do you go to? Who is your single person that is going to change the game for you?
I think it would have to be the tight ends. Just because I think they give the best mismatch, and we saw Brent Strange ran over half of the Purdue defense and turned a play that looked like a 18-yard gain into a 70, 60 something yard touchdown. So that's in him to do that. I think Theo Johnson has the speed to do that as well. So it's weird. I think their home run hitters are honestly maybe the biggest guys they put on the field It does seem that way because they're just such a mismatch, both with their size and their athleticism for their size.
Keandre Lambert-Smith got 0 targets last week, I think. Right?
He didn't really play from what I don't. The only snap he got was on. They did Minnesota like attempt an onside kick late in the game or something. He was on for the hands team at one point.
Yeah, Parker Washington got the ball. Yeah.
So that tells me that he was like an emergency situation player, and so hands team they consider that, but he might not have been healthy enough to go.
Okay.
But he did sound like he practiced tonight though on Wednesday. So
because he's somebody, right? Like he, against Purdue, like you mentioned, he had another kind of touchdown, just like Theo Johnson broke some tackles. You look for him. You look for the guys with some experience. It's just there's no Chris Godwin on this team, right? That you can just
ALS
the ball
that we could get to like take the top off the defense.
Yeah, right.
If we needed it, we could take that shot to him, or even Amari Evans at that.
Yep.
Freshman. You got to find someone to stretch that defense so they don't load the box and we can't run. Because then once we get in those situations, that's when
it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might see a little more Amari Evans this week, I think. They didn't really target him in the pass game, but he got that jet sweep last week, which I thought, that was good. That was creative. We talked about putting the ball in the hands of the fastest guys on the team. They did that there. So hopefully, more of that. I don't know. Jet sweeps scare me against Ohio State just because of how fast they are. That's a 7-yard gain against Minnesota. That could be a 5-yard loss against Ohio State. It's just the difference in speed between those two teams is unreal. So, I'm a little hesitant to do stuff behind the line of scrimmage against a faster team, but
you just want to find ways to put the ball in your playmakers' hands to get them in space. So if it's jet sweeps, quick screens, slants, any of that, just find the way to get the ball in your playmakers' hands, make one guy miss, and they can turn a 5-yard catch to a 40-yard catch.
Yeah, I really do think that is the biggest thing for them. So Nate, you have to go soon, so we're gonna get to the we're gonna get to the good stuff here really quick. Prediction line is 15.5, and like we mentioned, Franklin's covered against Ohio State 6 out of 8 times. One of the times he didn't cover, it was a really bad 2015 team with Hagenberg and pretty much like a young Saquon and nothing else. And then the other time was 2020 with no fans. So the 3 times Ohio State has come to Beaver Stadium with fans, they lost in overtime, they won, they lost by 1. So to me, 15.5 is a lot. I think they lose, but I'm going something like 31 to 20 to 23, somewhere in that range is kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be that close. Maybe Penn State scores late, but I'm kind of the fact where they will cover, but I still think Ohio State's too talented to lose this game right now.
I would agree. I'm looking at my paper over there where I have the predictions. Because I did it in my model, and it's got Ohio State 35, Penn State 27. Ohio State has a 96% chance of winning out of 1,000 simulations and a 38% chance of winning by more than 10. So, that's take that for what you will. But so Penn State covers, like you said, but it's probably I don't think it's as close as a 35-27 game would indicate. Yeah,
I can see that.
My head says 38-27. My heart says 31-28. Penn State.
That'd be nice. The game being at noon sucks. I feel like it takes a lot of the mojo out of it because the 3 other instances I just mentioned were all at night. And, this is the first time in, 2013, maybe 11, somewhere around there where Ohio State's coming here. It's not a night game, which is crazy. So, that is a difference. And there's clearly a difference between the crowd at noon and 7:30, living through both of those the past couple of weeks. So that is the bummer. And unfortunately, I do think that also plays a role too. That does. So I do think the noon thing is an issue, unfortunately.
What's the weather supposed to be?
I think like mid-50s, partly cloudy.
Beautiful.
Okay. So perfect. Yeah. Just
late October, as good as you can get.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some rumor about rain early in the week. I think
that's I heard that.
I think that's passed.
Sunday or Monday, so I think it's clear.
Yeah, because that was going to be a thing I wanted to bring up. If it if it was gonna rain, who does that give the advantage to? And I kind of
after Northwestern.
I know.
That's kind of where I'm at. I always feel like though it's like the advantage goes to the worst team because like I don't know. There's just something. I think it evens the playing field a little in a way. The rain does. But
so it depends. Like is Penn State's floor, Ohio State would drop a lot in that situation, right? So Penn State just has farther to drop because, conceivably their floor is both garbage in that kind of weather. So if Ohio State's falling down from a bigger place, then it does normalize it a little bit. But I don't know. Like you can't fumble the ball 17 times either and expect to win this game, right? So
that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
at least
I
have the Astros Saturday night. My daughter has a play Saturday night, so like there will be lots of pick me ups. And then we're going to Miami on Tuesday for a night. So like they got lots of things coming that is going to make this feel way better.
Okay. Cool. That is.
I got a drink that will help you get you through the game, Nate. Even though you're in Texas, it's not super cold down there.
All right, what do you got, Tyler? Let's hear it.
All right.
Good segue.
Very good. All right.
Yeah, this is my drink of the week called the Happy Valley Heat. So, with it being a noon game and it's only getting up to the mid 50s, most fans, if you're starting tailgating like a typical Penn State fan, you'll be out there about 8, 9 in the morning at the latest. So I went with a little hot chocolate spiked action. So it's pretty simple drink. The way you want to make it, if you're going to take it to a tailgate, is pre-make it and then take it in like a heated container so it can stay warm. But you'd want to melt the milk and chocolate down together until it's like continuously whisk it. So it melts the chocolate into the milk. And then you'd add the cocoa powder and a little bit of the maple syrup just for like some sweetness to it. So that'd be like your mixture. And then you'd want to mix that with your liquor of choice. I typically go with peppermint schnapps or vodka, but it's really good with any whiskey or Fireball if you want to go that route. Then top it with some whipped cream. And then if you really want to go crazy, you could throw like some caramel on top of it. But it's going to be mid 30s and you start the morning out there. Nothing works better than a nice warm drink in your hands.
It's a good one. So, okay. So I that's more sophisticated than I thought. Cause you're going like real chocolate melted down in your milk. Yeah. Okay. I know. I get, what the last one was like, throw some sour mix with some tequila and some blue carousel, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you want the typical tequila tied college drink, just get the chocolate milk powder or whatever from the grocery store.
Quick.
Yeah.
You can buy chocolate milk and just put it in the microwave beforehand.
Yeah, do that. Throw in some whatever you want to drink, but it's a nice homemade way.
This is really good. So maple syrup, though, I don't know. Like,
so I was looking into that. I've done it a couple of ways. The maple syrup really just gives it like that extra like sugar and boost flavor. Okay. I think it like brings out more of the chocolate flavor when I've tried it. So it really is just more just for that sweetness in it. You can also do it with caramel syrup on top, but the maple syrup is just more for that added sugar to it.
Okay. And with the cinnamon, I think the maple flavor if you did Fireball would be
exactly
really good.
Yeah.
And even the whiskey, I think.
Yeah, that's more looking at if you went like the Fireball or even like the peanut butter whiskey that's out there in some place.
Screwball, yeah.
Yeah, Screwball.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's good. Like peanut butter whiskey in this would be.
That actually would be good. Yeah,
it's like a Reese's cup. our friend Josh Perry, best personality in the Big Ten Network, allergic to peanut butter. I learned this week and hates Reese's peanut butter cups. So.
Oh wow!
We should imagine. Him. Yeah, we should get him on the podcast.
All right, you work on that then, I guess.
We go back and forth occasionally. So he's a good dude.
That's good. All right, so
I hope everyone tries that though this weekend because I worked hard on picking that one up.
I'm gonna make JNelly make it for me since I'm sleeping on his couch, I guess.
Some random 24-year-old guy barely knows.
Yeah, screw him, whatever. Yeah, speaking of him, I'll be back with him in a minute. Gotta let Nate go. Tyler's free to go too. So we'll be back with Nelly's bets of the week because, like usual, he is the only one that can ever be on the schedule as everyone else. He's always the complete opposite. So it just is what it is. But stay tuned because this one is not over.
First,
all right, go ahead.
Right now.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
All right, so first game is our game, Ohio State versus Penn State. for my first pick, I got us plus 15. I mean, of course, I want the money line, but I'm giving people advice. The chances we win are very slim, but I'm going to take those odds. But definitely, I think we cover, like, 15 is an insane amount. I don't know why they keep giving points like that every year for us against Ohio State. We don't lose that bad. I mean, C.J. Stroud's kind of nuts this year. His accuracy's off the charts, and Marvin Harrison's nice too, so it's going to be tough. But I think we cover there. And then my second game, Florida at Georgia, I picked Florida to win outright. Like,
okay.
But Georgia has, like, a lot of injuries. They haven't been playing that good. Like, they were down to Kansas State, I think, at a point, or, like, it was really close. Like, Stetson Bennett hasn't been that good of a quarterback this year. Their defense has been, like, meh, like, not like last year. And Florida, they said Anthony Richardson's, like, healthiest he's ever been. So maybe their running game, I'm just like, Billy Napier needs to get something going there, or else they're just all going to hate him like Dan Mullen. So I'm hoping that. But Illinois versus Nebraska at Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
The West, like, I saw that one post where it's like Northwestern could win the West going like 4-8.
Right.
Which is nuts. So I'm like, Nebraska at home, it's going to be sold out. They still have a chance to win. So, I mean, I think they cover 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
With everything going on there, I don't think their team's that great. They're playing better once they got rid of who was it, Scott, right?
Yeah, Scott Frost, yeah.
Scott Frost. Once they got rid of him, they're playing a lot better. But they're still, I don't think Illinois has been playing insane, which makes us look not that bad like from last year.
Mm-hmm.
They might have been good last year. You can say they were. Just act like it doesn't matter.
That's true.
You can go.
I was just say with that game, the over-under is at 50. I would go way below that. I think that's like a 21-17 game or something like that.
Yeah, no, that over is like though even for like the Northwestern Iowa game, I'm pretty sure the over-under is like 32.
Yeah,
but I'm still thinking about taking the under because it's going to be such a bad game.
That game might realistically be like 7-0.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be terrible. I would not watch that game if I liked football.
No.
If I liked Iowa football or Northwestern, just no. And then my last game, I have Oklahoma State, number 9 at Kansas State. Oklahoma State came off a big win versus Texas last week. And then Kansas State is coming off a tough loss versus TCU where they gave up 28 unanswered points to lose that game when they were up by like 3 scores at half. So I'm taking Kansas State money line because it's at home. Oklahoma State's defense without Jim Knowles is terrible. Like, they're giving up like 20 points a game all the time. I don't know like the actual stat, but like I looked at the schedule and like every game was over 20 points that they're giving up. But I mean, they can score. Spencer Sanders, he's a good ass quarterback. And then Kansas State with Adrian Martinez, he feel like his first pick last week versus TCU to lose that game. So he's been playing out of his mind. Maybe it was just Nebraska. It just sucks to be there. They're just not good.
Yeah.
But I think Kansas State will win that game.
Yeah, like you said, Oklahoma State, 28.7 points allowed per game. I mean, that's pretty high for a top 10 team.
Yeah, no, that is. I don't know and then I saw Kentucky versus Tennessee. I don't know do you know what the spread is?
It is 12.5. It's in Tennessee.
Yeah, it is in Tennessee. The thing, I don't like Tennessee. Like, they beat Bama. Like, of course, like, I give them credit for that. But like, I don't know. Like, I still think they're frauds. I think like people are saying like they could easily like just go undefeated. Like, it's so easy. It's still the SEC. Like every week, every home team's gonna have that advantage if you're playing at their stadium. You're the number 2 team. Every week, you got to play your best ball. So I mean, I still think they have a chance to lose, but.
Yeah, and I think
probably Kentucky spread, probably 12.5. I think Will Levis. I'll hop on. Hopefully, he can compare to Josh Allen like he says in that game.
Yeah, the one thing is, Tennessee goes to Georgia the next week, so maybe Kentucky catches them looking ahead a little bit because obviously that's the game of the year now, Georgia Tennessee. Yeah. So I could really see them. Looking ahead, this could be a trap game for them for sure.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, actually, that Florida pick now doesn't look terrible because Georgia could easily look ahead too because Florida's not been that good.
Yeah.
So they could easily
both of them,
Yeah. And then I think Michigan State. Like, I mean, Michigan's going to probably steamroll them. Like, Michigan State is absolutely terrible. I don't know what happened to them. Again, with Mel Tucker, like secondary sucks, defense is terrible, offense. They have Reed. Do they have Reed still?
Yeah, Reed. Yeah.
Reed. He's good. Jalen Reed's like their only good player, I swear. And then I think that's like about like there aren't that many great games this week. I mean, TCU plays at West Virginia, which
I was just gonna say like I like the over in that game. I think what is it set at? It's set at 69. I still I don't know. So TCU averages 45 a game. West Virginia averages 35 a game. TCU gives up 27 a game. West Virginia gives up 34 a game. I think this game is played in the 30s. So it really comes down to if it's played in the low 30s or the high 30s in terms of that over. But I think that one could go over.
Yeah, I mean, it's a noon game, so it's either the defenses are come out slow or the offenses are going to come out slow. Usually that's how it works. So let's hope the defense does and offense just gets cooking early. Yeah, I like
that line isn't super big, I don't think either. It is it's 7.5. Yeah, which is practically a touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think TCU covers. I mean, I like West Virginia, but they've been playing terrible this year. And then I think that's like about it. I mean, Wake Forest at Louisville. I mean, Louisville's that's a game, honestly. Louisville's not that bad. They were starting off pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, Wake's only 3.5-point favorite. I mean, Louisville crushed Pitt last week. I don't know how good Pitt actually is.
Yeah, actually, never mind. I don't know. I heard like stuff about Louisville. I mean, they beat UVA. They lost close on the Florida State. They got killed by Syracuse.
Yeah, they got killed by Syracuse, yeah. And then they lost a close one at Boston College. So, like, their losses outside of Syracuse, who's, probably a top 20-ish team.
Yeah.
They're not terrible, but obviously, Wake is a pretty good team, too.
Yeah, no, Wake's very good. They're, like, one of the underrated teams. Like, I saw, like, our projection right now is, like, to play them. That should be a sick game because, like, Sam Hartman. I watched – he was, like, on that one Netflix series. I was like, what the –
Yeah, QB1, yeah.
Yeah, now he's, like, tough. I'm like, damn, that's like, good for him.
Yeah, that is cool. That he was, like, the only one on that show. I think that really, really panned out. A lot of them
like,
fizzling.
One of them had – I think Spencer Rattler was on one of those type of shows, and he's, like, terrible now, as you can see.
Yeah, Jake Fromm and Justin Fields were on it too, so they were like the top. They were like the top two, and then I would say Hartman was probably third. Yeah, not. I think those are the only three that really I think did anything good in college out of that show.
This one Fields was committed to us too,
and they like barely talked about it in the show. It was so funny, but
but I think that's all the games I got. So I got Penn State plus 15. Florida to win at 1,060 odds. Nebraska plus 7.5 against Illinois. Kansas State minus 118 money line to beat Oklahoma State. Right. I wouldn't do a parlay with all that, just so that's like known now. I would just say like straight bets. I've been doing straight bets a lot more, and it's just winning a lot more. So
yeah, it's a lot easier with straight bets because not everything has to go right for you to make money. Obviously. Yeah. Obviously, the payout isn't as good as a parlay, but it's a lot safer if you're just trying to grind it out, really.
Yeah, I mean, parlays are nice when you see like $2,000, but then it's like 10 legs that have to hit with upsets and stuff.
But, yeah, understandable. Yeah. All right, so we all have Penn State to cover then because earlier the three of us also said that because Penn State 6-8 under Franklin in covering against Ohio State, and one of the times they didn't cover was a home game with no one in the stands.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of on that train. I get it. No one's picking Penn State to win this game, obviously, right now, just because of how good Ohio State looks. But we do think it'll be a lot closer than maybe being led on by. So we'll see. We thought Michigan would be close. It wasn't close. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's got to start fast. Defense I don't even know how. They got if they get the ball first, we just have to stop them the first drive. That place will be rocking. If we stop them somehow and score, we just got to get the momentum on our side as fast as we can. and just get the crowd behind us.
Yeah, the big thing is you got to wake up a sleepy noon crowd. And, I don't know if Penn State maybe, if they win the toss, do they maybe think about taking the ball first to try to do that? I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there.
Yeah. With Clifford, with the people last week with Clifford, I don't know if you want to take the ball first just for him to get booed by the whole stadium.
Yeah, there's that too, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know, we'll look forward to a lot of good games this Saturday. So we'll see what happens there. All right. So for the earlier guys and now JNelly, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.